We all gonna ignore the fact that Raymond's in a new room doing all of this.
It's very paranormal activity up there.
Yes.
Hello, and welcome to Frostside Chat, our weekly live streamed post-session discussion where we talk about what
No, you're not doing it right.
during D&D. What voice do you want from me?
We already decided on this.
Post-session discussion where we all discuss what happened. And we're all always here. We're always here.
Oh, wonderful.
First time we're all here, by the way. This is the chat for session 4. If you've not watched that, please go do that because there will be spoilers. I am your DM, Eric, and joining me is everybody. Chris, of All Robins player.
Hello.
Heather, aka Frey. Rochelle, aka Celeste.
Hey.
Say aka too much. I just sound like I'm hiccuping or something.
You are.
Raymond as Edmund. And Reese as Thimbleweed. Yeah, the whole gang.
AKA.
Against his will, we've dragged Reese into our discussion.
That's what happened.
I mean,
So it's
more
come-
or less.
It's come.
He's trying to sleep right now.
What is
Getting
marriage if
comfortable in
not
his
doing
bed.
a bunch of things against your will?
I mean, she's not wrong.
Here, here.
So this session started off with a fight with rats.
Yes.
And once again, hilariously, I rolled pretty well in initiative, which kind of dictated a lot of the damage that was done.
Yeah.
I guess I have, at this point, we have too much experience with higher level characters, but I was surprised at how strenuous this fight was.
2 hits to take me completely out.
Did the rats ever miss? Like, it was fucking hitting on every one of
Yeah,
these
They were.
folks. They have like a +4 to hit. Like, they were not supposed to. I mean, you guys aren't the most. You know, you do not have very good AC amongst your team, honestly.
There's no Tim.
There's no
There's no
Tim. There's no
Tim,
big, heavily
there's no
armored.
Scarlet, there's
Yeah.
no-
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's fun as hell for me because I am just hitting on all these +4s.
I mean, I could have had armor, but I get a better thing with unarmored
Yeah. Barbarians
defense.
are-
So
Barbarians are kind of designed to like take the hit, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah. But yeah, that whole fight was pretty dangerous.
And they're not. I mean, that pack tactics helps because they all get the advantage. It's very similar to the wolves. Basically, they have not a lot of hit points. Obviously, you guys were one-shotting them, so it's kind of similar to the wolf fight for a bit.
they did miss eventually. They missed me
Okay.
towards the end.
Towards the end, they finally missed. So, in my back pocket, first of all, I've played enough D&D now. We all have that. I know generally the difficulty of an encounter before it starts, and then you can adjust midway.
Yeah.
So, as written, these which you guys never went in this direction, but if you actually go east, you'll see the top of that waterfall before you went down into that rat room. And originally, in the entire thing, that room is empty, and then there's 2 rats near the water. 2 of those giant rats. I'm like, this is barely a thing anyway. You guys murdered these rats anyway. Like, all right, more rats. And in case things go a little bit south for my rats, I'm going to spawn a swarm of rats. Maybe even
yes.
2 swarms of rats. Well, we'll play it by ear. Swarms can be kind of tricky. They have like twice the hit points, and they've got damage resistance because they're a swarm.
Oh, right.
So anything you're doing to them, unless it's elemental damage, it's half damage.
Right.
Now I can play with the hit points, which I did. I fudged a few rolls at the end in terms of you killed that one, you killed that one, but it was always within like 2 hit points or something.
Right.
But yeah, at first I thought, okay, it's gonna be like the wolves. I come in, I do my damage, and then you all kick ass and wipe me out. And I'll have the swarm come in as kind of an extra little thing. And then I was like, oh shit, these rats are still sticking around and doing some more damage. And then,
Check it out.
yeah, whenever I rolled that max damage and hit Celeste, I was like, holy fuck, did I go too far here with this swarm? And then she popped up, and I was like, oh, she's fine. And then you fucking ran down the hallway. I was like, that's the only other, like, trap in this area.
That was great.
I mean, to be fair, like, this whole place was covered in traps, and that was a narrow hallway. That's the only place you can go. But I loved that, and it was like,
I thought
oh
that
shit.
was thematically appropriate, though. Like, she's trying to get away from the swarm of rats. She's running in the opposite direction.
That's the thing. So, this is really just my second character to play in D&D ever. because we did like one-off
Yeah,
the very
that's
first
true.
time I played, but then otherwise it was just Gillian. So now I'm like,
yeah.
okay, now
Oh.
that I've played for like a couple of years, it's like now I know. Oh my gosh, it really has, it's been years because I remember.
Yeah.
I think
You
when
played
the
a
first time I
sorcerer.
played was when Owen was a baby. Anyway,
Yeah,
but
you're
so now I
the-
really am much more into the character than I was with Gillian because it's like I
Right.
know what I'm doing now, so now it's like a new character. Anyway, so everything I
Right.
do, I'm trying to do more
it
thematically.
was great.
Right.
I loved
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny as hell. Is you
And-
did such a good
yeah.
job avoiding death and
That was very
not only
good.
role playing well, but also being tactically mindful, and then just run
Yeah.
further into the dungeon
No,
and immediately
it's
just get wiped
fantastic.
out.
Immediately die.
First down state
Yep.
of the campaign so far.
How close did Thimbleweed come to going down? Because it seemed like he was in dire straits there too.
I was within 5.
Was it 5? Okay. Yeah. I feel like another couple good rolls on their part or bad rolls on their part, that could have gone
Because I think,
Yeah,
south.
because I got close too.
Yeah.
yeah. Did Thimbleweed get healed at some point? Did you heal him, or was it
No.
a potion?
He got healed at some point. Yes.
Okay. And then, because that rat hit you? It got like I remember it got scarier for you too after you came back.
Yeah. So I got
Yeah.
down to 5. Or 4, actually. I don't know, one of those. And I got healed up to 9. I got hit again for 4.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so you were hovering near like 25% health for a while. I was impressed. Those rats, except for Edmund, had done damage to like everybody, like solid damage.
Yeah.
I was like, I did not expect these rats. Like, A, I rolled really well on initiative, and B, like, they just hardly ever missed. Like, it was nuts. With the +4,
Right.
like, even with y'all's not great AC, like, they should have been hitting that often.
And that trap also. What was it? The trap? What did 2 6s? Was that the trap or was that something else?
I think that was one of their attacks, I think. Was
Trying to
it? Maybe
remember
that's
what-
the swarm? Is that the swarm? Let me see.
Was that the swarm?
Maybe
I thought there was
they might
there-
do 2d6. They sure do.
Yeah. And they,
So
and they
the
did 2 6s.
So the swarm, I looked on there and I thought I was confused for a second because it says, you know how it always does the average damage first and then the parentheses? It says
Yeah.
7 as the average and then 2d6 in parentheses. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to do an
Yeah.
average of a little bit more than the rats. And then I did that and I rolled
Right.
12. I was like, oh my lord.
Holy shit.
As a DM, I'm like, did I make a terrible boo-boo by entering these swarms into the mix? They just happened to roll a literal max damage right then.
Yep.
And by that
And-
point, you're committed. So
And did
Yeah,
you say I
they're
rolled like a
there.
19? They have a +2 to hit. +2.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's just, it was extremely swingy. Like, the dice were in my favor for that whole fight. That was meant to be just a pretty softball, like, just here's a couple rats. And I was like, oh shit, this is like a fight to the death.
Sure was.
Really.
So, you all ended up having to do another short rest in here, which, on the one hand, yes, it was a tough fight. On the other hand, I feel like that's the line that feels just about right for balance tuning. Is like, I want to make you feel like you need to short rest.
Need it. Yeah.
Yeah. And not just like, well, I guess we get a short rest here. But I like it whenever he's like, oh yeah, we need a short rest like after this fight. And then I see all those hit dice getting
Right.
rolled.
yeah, I
Yeah.
needed it, but Frey was not going to admit she needed a rest. No, that's not how that
Yeah,
works.
not
Never.
admit the injury. Yep, and then obviously the Kobold body is meant to tease, which I can't talk too much about what's going on because you guys are still in the middle of this dungeon.
Yeah.
But that was meant to be the kind of quintessential tease about what you're up against, and it's not just a
I thought it was
simple...
I thought it was gonna be like a giant or something the way you were describing. Like him, he was like ripped apart. His head was ripped in half. I was like, what? I was imagining in my head like some sort of like ogre or something, like tearing him apart.
I mean, that's good. You weren't supposed to necessarily understand what
Yeah.
killed it, but yeah, I tried to drop some different cause of death things in there. And I think this is a cool map too. It's a neat idea with this giant vertical chasm shaft kind of in the middle of it. If you notice, you guys have been kind of circling around this thing the whole time.
Yeah.
So the walkway first, which at that point, finally, Edmund was like, I'm going to search for traps. And I've been waiting for somebody to be like, should we be searching for traps? Or anything out of the ordinary? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Because if somebody other than Frey or Thimbleweed had stepped onto that space, then you would have fallen down to basically where you ended this session. That's where the walkway underneath was, which was not the second level. That was the third level. So you are falling. What is that? 30 feet.
Okay.
And I would have given you a save for like half damage, but you would have fallen like that distance.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And you would have been separated just in general.
Which I
at
thought
that
is
point.
a fun thing to do when you're in a spooky after you just saw
Yeah.
like the murder and all that. So it's like this is, but
Separated and dead.
separated.
That's
and dead.
right.
That'd be real. Yeah, somebody could go down right then, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys are just short rested, thankfully. But Edmund was able to see that, and it's once you see it, it's trivial to it. Which all of these were basically that way. Once you see them and spot them, it would have been trivial to just kind of avoid them for the most part. But everybody was just like running through. And as a DM, it was fun as hell. 'Cause I'm like, oh, you're triggering this trap, you're triggering that trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Duca, that was your question answered. Is that's what happens? Is somebody does fall, they take the damage, which is what 3d6, I guess, for falling. Again, I would give you a dex save for half, that you kind of like roll when you fall, and then but you don't fall down the chasm. You land on that walkway that was down there, which I kind of teased that as you saw it. So it's not an instant death, but it would be a fun way to kind of separate the party temporarily. And what's
That's another
interesting
point.
is
if that had happened, we might not have been in such friendly terms with the kobolds at the end. We
Yes.
dropped like right in front of them, right?
well, I was surprised you were even that. I mean, you guys took a lot of damage from their traps.
Well, yeah.
And you were very kind to them, which is why I gave you so much inspiration. I was like, man, you had every right to just be like, I'm gonna fucking kill these kobolds. I thought it was gonna be like a Home Alone situation. I'm gonna fucking kill this kid. Just
Right.
all this damage you've got.
I don't know if
But
Valravn...
it's self-serving, right? 'Cause
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, she's like already giving us information.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and when we encountered her, it's not like she was opening fire on us or anything. She was just sort of bleeding on a table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
I don't know. Even like D&D, Rochelle can't just like kill someone who's already like bleeding out.
Yeah.
Just-
That's
I mean, it's
And that's something that I changed from this dungeon. I've basically made the kobolds a lot more dynamic and made it so there are things that you basically just stumbled upon, like events happening, rather than being fully static. I can't go into it too much because we haven't completed this dungeon yet, but a lot of what you experienced is not written in this dungeon as designed. I will say that.
interesting.
The thing that's written is basically that there's a monster in here and that there are kobolds in here. And like I said, there were like 2 giant rats. But I've added all the traps. I've added what's going on with the kobolds, all the situation with one of them being like heavily injured that you came across. Which would have been interesting if somebody had fallen in the walkway. You might have thought, oh, well, let's take this bucket down to meet them. And then the bucket goes to a completely different level.
Right.
And you're just even more like, what is going on?
Yeah, I feel like it would have been really easy to get just completely lost in here.
Yeah, it's because I'm obviously looking at the whole map the whole time, and I constantly try to do that Control L where I can see what you're seeing and try to acclimate the fact that you're so lost in all this, trying to figure out where is where, and that's why I try to be pretty descriptive when you get to the chasm. You're like, it's that chasm again that you come across. So yeah, you get down to level 2. And at this point, Valravn and Celeste had kind of taken the wheel together with investigating this area, which I kind of ran with that and let you, especially since you were specifically said, hey, I want to try to meet with these kobolds. And then you went the right direction. You followed the blood and saw one that was about to die. And
Really by accident. I thought the blood trail was going the other direction. I was trying to avoid danger. I was trying to go to where the blood was leading.
That's
but...
funny. Yeah, so that was a little bit of environmental storytelling on my part. And at that point, it felt appropriate to have a social, which this is one of those rare moments where we actually had like all the different pillars of D&D. We had the combat, we had exploration, which was, going over the walkway and seeing the blood and everything, and then social encounter, which was what the surviving kobold was able to tell a bit more. Still teasing, not quite sure, what's killing them or what's going on, but I was really impressed. You both played it really well. You were very kind to her.
We were just the right 2 characters to be there.
Yeah, for sure. There could have easily been like a good cop, bad cop, or a bad cop situation. Somebody's getting yeeted into the chasm. Yeah.
Someone did almost get yeeted into the chasm.
He doesn't know that though.
that gives me like saying good cop, bad cop. That gives me like a very good idea to in the future. Celeste like wants to try to play a bad cop, but she
Oh
can't.
god, that would be so funny. We need to
Celeste.
make that happen.
Yeah.
imagine she'd be so hilariously bad at it, and I can't wait to hear
She's
that.
very bad.
Yeah, she's like throwing like a glass of water in their face. You like that? They're all uncomfortable and wet now.
She just ends up waterboarding them by accident. She's the ultimate bad cop.
Right. It turns out she's very bad at the like personality part of it, but she's torturing these people.
Yeah.
Just intentionally.
Uses her mop as the water, like the water piece, and just
Right.
shoves
Oh,
it
yeah.
right in their face.
Oh no.
Now you can't breathe. Oh,
Yeah.
You
Oops.
actually can't breathe.
Can't breathe.
Very kind unless it's a rat, which was the motto.
right. Yeah, I would have been very interested to see how that social encounter went with just any two other teammates.
Yeah.
Like how that goes down.
Yep. That could have been a completely different dynamic.
I mean, because
Um,
going in, I don't know what anybody else's intention was, but when we were first going in, I thought that it was pretty much only Valravan's intention to like go in and talk to the kobolds.
I mean, that's
I think at some point Frey made a comment about killing them. So
if you
it's like,
it-
oh,
it's,
yeah, okay.
technically the quest is just to
Clear them out.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So it's up to you all how you want to do all that, but
I think Thimbleweed stated he would talk to them and become their
Talk
leader
to
or
them.
something.
That's right. He did
impose
say
his
that
will.
tonight, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so you guys explored a little bit of level 2. You made I gave you with the role playing and all the healing and stuff. Obviously, gave you advantage on those checks. It wasn't a question of like, is she gonna like not be friendly with you? She was, but when you were specifically asking her to do additional tasks, like, hey, can you introduce us to take me to your
Yeah.
leader and those kind of things, then I was gonna have you roll, but you get advantage for all the kindness at the end.
That's his gold star, so I gotta use it when I can.
Yeah. I appreciate you used your last. Did you use all your spell slots on healing word? I feel like it was a lot of healing.
No, I used a hideous not hideous laughter. Dissonant
Oh, the
whispers
dissonant.
last
That's right. Yeah.
from the wolf. I only got
Dissonant.
3. And
Yeah.
at level 2, I only got 3, and
Yeah.
they were all. I feel like they were all very well used. I didn't waste any of them.
Yeah.
The whisper went off. The healing word raised Celeste back up, and the other healing word got the kobold on our side.
Yeah. Very good use all the way across the board. Yeah, and then I just kind of montage because there's no level 2 is literally just a winding path. Goes basically around.
Yeah, at some point, I think you cut on that. I didn't want to like. I
Right.
don't know how to navigate these caverns. Just take us where the kobold.
Yeah, I
leads.
mean, if there was some kind of encounter or something, then obviously I would have had you guys still go. But there was at that point, you just can go on to the kobolds, which this social encounter can change a lot depending on how it goes down. It can be a combat encounter. I mean, it just
It's just that's what I was just thinking of because I
Yeah.
haven't set in on any of these, chats that you guys do after the fact. And I was just like, oh my goodness, you have to improvise so much as the DM because, like you said, like we just had to clear the dungeon,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, we just befriended them, and we're like, show me your leader, and then I'm interacting with him and everything.
And that's the fun thing because I don't want to force you guys to necessarily do anything. Like I want to. The best advice is like you throw problems at the players, and then you can come up with contingency plans for if like they do A, then this. If they do B, then this. You can kind of prep like that, but you don't necessarily want to be like, all right, well, this is going to happen because that makes it like you guys have no choice in the matter. And in this case, yeah, you guys could have walked up, you could have killed that one kobold, you could come down here and just instant combat encounters, like get the fuck out and all this, and intimidate,
Right. One
whatever
of
you
us
want
could
to
have
do.
fallen down next to the kobolds. It sounds like.
Yeah.
And been hostile, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's if somebody had fallen down. I think I wrote down that like, oh yeah, if somebody falls down, those kobolds are across the chasm. They have dark vision. They can. I think they've got slings or something. They can just hurl rocks or something. I don't know if I would put somebody in a pure combat encounter, but maybe enough to like
Yeah.
cinematically like you got to get the hell out of this like one area.
Right.
But they would automatically perceive you as like a hostile force because you triggered a trap.
yeah.
So- and they would probably be pretty hostile if you had just stumbled down here because they saw their traps getting triggered and you would just be coming down here. But because you specifically had her come down in the lead and all that, the only thing I wanted to make sure to get off was something I can't spoil too much, but obviously is something happening with Celeste and some kind of weird connection there.
I don't want you to tell me, but I really want to know what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Like it's very confusing. Something psychic. That's all I can figure.
Yeah. That's something I'm going to try to, obviously, in Tomb, we had steps to personal quests, and if you notice, kind of, I'm making some of your secrets maybe some of your quests, or at least what your story is all about, in addition to obviously having the main story and all these side quests too. And a lot of times, instead of like, we're going to this dungeon for this person, you might go to this area, and all of a sudden you'll find that this area has to do with somebody's secret or quest or something, and
that's interesting.
Kind of what's going on.
Less like a named, like, okay, here's your story quest, and more like a, hey, you might encounter your story quest out in the world.
And there could very well be that, especially if you follow enough steps, you'd be like, okay, now you've unlocked the, place you need to go to continue your quest. But yeah, some of them ideally would be just events that kind of happen along the way, and this is an example of one of those things.
Nice.
I also had no idea where to end this session, because I didn't know how far we would make it.
How far did we make it in terms of what you planned?
I've planned to the end of this dungeon.
I mean, you thought that the rats would not be as challenging.
I kind of did. I didn't expect that rat fight to probably go as long as it did. I expected it to be like the wolves, kind of, where it was like 2 rounds, basically. Like the first round, I'm doing some damage, and then by the end, you've cleaned them up. Even with the swarm, I was gonna have the swarm disperse after, a little bit after you've done damage or something. But it just feel like the tension kept going, and it kept, staying at that level. I was like, I'm just gonna keep this rat fight going. And it's funny how, looking at it, I'm like, okay, they'll go in here, they'll go in here, go in here, this won't take any time. And then you guys like crawl along the walkway and you're squeezing over. And it's hard as a DM to determine how long those kind of things are going to take, because I have the burden of knowledge in terms of knowing, like, well, of course they're just going to walk across this walkway, they'll check it, they'll go, the bucket, they'll just go down, they'll go this way. But like, I don't know any of that. You guys don't know any of that.
I mean, as a DM, there's nothing more like, I don't know if frustrating is the right word, but
we can say it.
Challenging. When there is a situation that is absolutely meaningless and challengeless, and your players take half an hour talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, or were you going for boring?
That's
what it feels like as a DM.
It's genuinely a little frustrating and challenging, because like, okay, do I need to put something here? Because they're like approaching this like a problem.
If there's like a door and everybody's like just really scared of the door.
It's not a thing,
and there's
but
nothing
they're approaching
there.
it like it's a thing.
There's nothing there, and then of course you'll have the hallway. They just run down and like, oh shit, you just triggered a trap. There's monsters everywhere. This is the thing.
That's like my last one shot. We all just played with those damn doors for literally like 30 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Like,
I was just like, all right. How am I going to get them to stop this?
I felt like at the beginning of the bucket lift, you guys were starting to treat it as a puzzle, and even I think Frey, you were like, all right, I've got the best strength. I'll do it. And I'm just like, look, this is not a puzzle. This is.
We've been talking about this for long.
Once you did that, I tried to get you to like hand wave us all down there. I was like, we're all just gonna keep going one by one.
Yeah, I did do that.
Who's next? And then who's next? No, just put us down there.
I was gonna put you down there, but then I wanted to have Robin and Celeste have their little scene first. But yeah, I kind of montaged you down there. Right. But yeah, that was not meant to be. Which I mean, you can inspect it, and which I don't think anybody did, but just to make sure it's not gonna like snap and fall and take damage, like it's a trap kind of thing. But in terms of it being, there's no like puzzle for it.
Right.
Anything else about session 4? And so like I said, I didn't know where to end this session. I had it to completion in case you guys went through it and cleared everything out and finished it. Otherwise, I was looking at the time going, okay, maybe we'll end it somewhere around the social scene with the kobolds, now that you get to level 3. But then Celeste, bless your heart, picked up so fast on what I was trying to do. I was like, this is going to be a fucking perfect way to end this. Because once you make it across there and actually see the thing, and then we can end it right there.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how we start next week, because I legit thought we had like, I thought I had all the points of how the rest of the session was going to go in my head. Like, okay, it's the social encounter, basically. Like, okay, we meet up with the kobolds. We finally have to like argue with them to let it, either like share the mine or not share the mine, something like that. Otherwise, it was just be one more social encounter, and that was going to be kind of the end.
Yeah.
Until we fight whatever the monster is, presumably. but then Celeste just runs off. It's like, wait, hold on, what's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a fascinating ending.
Yeah, a little bit of extra twist in there. Multiple twists in this dungeon, really, because you find out that the kobolds are getting killed, and then something's going on with the leader and Celeste, and yeah.
Yeah.
So we will definitely be finishing up this dungeon next week, and I would say, do we want to? I will say this: I'm going to level you guys up after you finish this dungeon. So, but I don't know if that'll happen.
What will I choose?
Well, I just don't know if we'll do it at the end. We always do it at the beginning of a session, so it might make more sense to wait, not do it next week, but maybe the week after.
Right.
Next.
Yeah.
Honey, let's also point out the fact again. You thought that rat encounter would take very little time,
Yeah.
and
It may be the whole.
the whole
said-
time could be.
As soon as you said we were definitely going to finish the dungeon, I was like, well, unless we spend 2 hours debating over a door.
Yeah,
Right, yes.
that could happen
Yeah.
It always happens.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's the trickiest. As all the experience we've had playing D&D collectively, the trickiest thing, which I feel like I've done a better job so far this campaign than last campaign, is like, all right, where do I break it up? And you can plan for that, but you don't know what, this is a live show.
So many contingency plans.
Yeah, I don't know at what point, what's taken long and where the mood is, and you always want to try to end it at a good note, not just be like, all right, let's go ahead and stop there. You don't want to end in combat if you can, you try to end at the beginning or the end, or it's a tricky situation. I'm not going to nail it every time, but thankfully that one kind of presented itself very nicely.
You got to end on a happy note.
Another DM has put it. It's very frustrating.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to end on a happy note because our outro music is really happy.
You find a sinister skull. Do 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 do.
And then I'm like, oh, Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cue the clip of everybody waving as their characters.
That's right.
All right. Anything else for session 4 of Rime of the Frostmaiden?
No.
All right. So that will do it for this week's Frostside chat. Thank you to Chris, Heather, Rochelle, Raymond, and Reese. I am Eric. Thank you to all the fans for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Oh my gosh, guys, it's so late right now.
I know. I'm I need to go to sleep so bad.
The coffee is
someone
finally worn off.
Someone take my kids tomorrow. Can I send my kids to LA to hang out with Chris tomorrow?
I'm
I need
sending
to
mine
sleep.
as well.
Sure, I'll
Yeah.
Take all his children.
play
Yes.
games with them all day. It's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah.